Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to share and subscribe the channel. Lieutenant Kaida Nox prided herself on running the tightest ship in the Zuri fleet. As the first purple-skinned Zint-Heather to achieve her rank, she had worked twice as hard to prove herself worthy. Her white hair was always pulled back in a perfect regulation bun, her uniform impeccably pressed, her orders clear and concise. So when Admiral Voss informed her that the Galactic Coalition was assigning a human engineer to the Celestial Voyager, she was less than pleased. "With all due respect, Admiral, my engineering team is perfectly capable. We don't need outside assistance," she said. The Admiral's hologram flickered. "This isn't a request, Lieutenant. The human arrives tomorrow. Engineer Ethan Reed comes highly recommended. The Coalition believes his expertise with quantum drive systems will be valuable for your deep space mission." Kaida's antenna twitched with irritation. "Understood, sir." The next morning, she waited in the docking bay, her tall, slender frame rigid with tension. The shuttle doors opened, and out stepped a human male. Kaida had met humans before, but something about this one made her pause. Engineer Ethan Reed was tall for a human, with warm brown skin and curly black hair. His eyes, a startling shade of amber, crinkled at the corners as he smiled at her. "Lieutenant Nox, Ethan Reed. Looking forward to working with you," he said, his voice deep and resonant. She nodded curtly. "Welcome aboard the Celestial Voyager, Engineer Reed. I trust you'll find our facilities adequate." "More than adequate, from what I've heard." "The Zenthuri are known for their precision engineering," he replied, his gaze direct and appreciative in a way that made her uncomfortable. As she led him through the ship, Kaida was acutely aware of his presence behind her. Humans have a distinctive scent. "This one smells of something earthy and pleasant," she murmured to herself. "Your quarters," she said, gesturing to a door. "The engine room is on deck 4. You'll report there at 0600 tomorrow. Any chance I could see it now?" Ethan asked. "I've been reviewing the schematics during my journey, and I have some ideas I'd like to discuss." Kaida's antenna twitched again. "We have a perfectly optimized system, Engineer Reed." "I'm sure you do," he said, that same smile appearing again. "But optimization is a journey, not a destination. Something about your confidence both irritates and intrigues me." "Very well. Follow me to the engine room." Ethan moved with unexpected grace for a human, his fingers trailing over the quantum drive housing with something akin to reverence. "Beautiful work," he murmured. "But have you considered recalibrating the phase inverters? You could increase efficiency by at least 12%. "That would require reconfiguring the entire power distribution grid," Kaida objected. "Not necessarily." Ethan pulled up a holographic display, his fingers dancing through the schematics. "Look here and here. A bypass through these circuits would achieve the same result." She leaned closer, the scent of him stronger now. "That's actually quite ingenious." "Thank you," she said, turning toward him. They were standing close, too close. "I have to say, Lieutenant, your ship isn't the only impressive thing here. The way you've integrated multiple technologies into a cohesive system, it's almost as elegant as you are." Kaida felt an unfamiliar heat rise to her cheeks. No one had ever spoken to her like that. She stepped back quickly. "That's inappropriate, Engineer Reed." His smile faltered. "My apologies. Where I come from, admiring someone's intelligence and other qualities isn't considered offensive." "We're not on Earth," she said stiffly. "On this ship, we maintain professional boundaries." "Understood, Lieutenant," he said, the smile returning slightly subdued. "Professional boundaries it is." As she left the engine room, Kaida's hand rose unconsciously to her cheek, where his fingertips had brushed. 3 weeks into their mission, she found herself spending more time in engineering than her duty strictly required. She told herself it was to monitor the humans' work, not because she enjoyed their debates, or the way his eyes lit up when explaining a new concept. "The problem with the quantum resonance chamber," Ethan explained one evening, "is that we're trying to apply classical physics principles to quantum phenomena." They were alone in the engine room, the ship's night cycle in full effect. Kaida's white hair had begun to escape its tight bun after the long day. "But the established equations have been used successfully for decades," she argued. "Successfully, yes, but not optimally." He moved closer to the holographic display, his shoulder brushing against hers. Look at these fluctuations. They're not random, they're responding to entangled particles. Kaida felt the warmth of him next to her, distracting her from the data. Are you suggesting we rewrite fundamental Z3 drive theory? I'm suggesting we improve it. His voice dropped lower, and the word hung between them, heavy with implication. You're very confident for someone who's been on this ship less than a month. I've never underestimated my capabilities, she said, trying to maintain her professional tone. Life's too short not to be confident about what you want, Lieutenant. His eyes met hers, and this time he didn't look away. The air felt suddenly charged between them, like the quantum field they were discussing. And what you know? The air is quite charged, she managed, swallowing hard. What is it you want, Engineer Reed? She asked, the words escaping before she could stop them. Ethan, he corrected softly. Whatever you think is happening, it's complicated, she said. Humans and Zint ether are physiologically compatible, but what? He prompted gently. His hand reached up, hesitating just shy of touching her face. Cultural differences, fleet regulations, or are you afraid of what you're feeling? Her breath caught. I don't know what I'm feeling. This isn't, he paused. I've never, neither have I, he admitted. When his fingers finally made contact with her cheek, Kaida couldn't suppress the gasp that escaped her lips. Human touch was warmer than Zint ether, more intense somehow. Your skin changes color when you're emotional, Ethan observed, watching the deeper purple flush spread across her cheeks. It's beautiful. This time, Kaida didn't pull away from the compliment. Humans are so expressive with words. My people, we communicate differently. Show me. He whispered hesitantly. She raised her hand to his face, her fingertips brushing his temple, and closed her eyes, concentrating. Among the Zint ether, this was an intimate gesture, allowing another to feel one's emotions through touch. Ethan inhaled sharply as the connection formed. That's incredible, he breathed, experiencing the cascade of her conflicted feelings, attraction, uncertainty, desire, fear. When she opened her eyes, his pupils were dilated and his breathing uneven. Now you understand, she said softly. I understand that I want more. His hands found her waist, drawing her closer. I want all of you. Their first kiss was tentative and exploratory, her lips cooler than his pressure more insistent than she was accustomed to, but the differences only heightened the sensation. Each new discovery was a revelation. His hands traced the curves of her body through her uniform, eliciting sensations she'd never experienced with her own kind. Her antennae trembled as the kiss deepened, her back arching into his touch. These uniforms, he murmured against her mouth, are unnecessarily complicated. A laugh bubbled up from somewhere deep inside her, another first. Efficiency in design is a Zuri principle. His fingers found the hidden fastening at her collar. I believe in efficiency, too, he said, but I also believe in taking time to appreciate beauty. His lips traced the newly exposed skin, and Kaida felt herself surrendering to the gravitational pull between them, a force as undeniable as any law of physics. We shouldn't, she whispered, even as her fingers tangled in his curly hair. Probably not, he agreed, lifting her effortlessly onto a nearby desk, but sometimes the most important discoveries happen when we break the rules. As clothing fell away and skin met skin, Kaida realized she was charting unknown territory, a new frontier more exciting than any space she'd ever explored. The crew is talking, Commander Trell informed Kaida, his expression disapproving. As her second-in-command and a traditional Zint ether, he had made his opinions about humans, particularly Ethan, clear from the beginning. Let them talk, Kaida replied, reviewing the mission reports on her datapad. Engineer Reed's modifications to the quantum drive have increased our efficiency by 17%. The results speak for themselves. It's not his technical skills I'm concerned with, Trell said. Your association with him is inappropriate. The Council would not approve of a Zint ether officer becoming involved with a human. Kaida set down the datapad, meeting his gaze directly. My personal life is not subject to Council approval. It is when it affects the mission, Trell countered. We're approaching the Nexus anomaly tomorrow. We need your full attention, not divided loyalties. The Nexus anomaly is the whole reason for our mission, she said firmly. My loyalty is to this ship and this mission. Nothing has changed that. Yet as she left the bridge, she wondered if that was entirely true. In the 3 weeks since she and Ethan had first become intimate, something fundamental had shifted within her. Her once-ordered world now contained variables she couldn't control, emotions she couldn't quantify. That night, in the observation lounge, she found Ethan staring out at the stars. The blue-green nebula that preceded the anomaly was already visible, its gases swirling in ethereal patterns. "It's magnificent," he said without turning. "Like nothing we have in Earth's vicinity." Kaida stood beside him, their shoulders touching. "Tomorrow, we'll be the first to collect comprehensive data on it. If your modifications to the sensors work as planned, they will." "They will," he agreed, taking her hand. "But Trell doesn't think we'll make it, does he?" She looked at him sharply. "What do you mean?" "He's been running simulations in the auxiliary lab, worst-case scenarios where the ship is torn apart by the gravimetric forces." Ethan turned to face her. "He doesn't trust my calculations." "Trell is traditional," she said. "He's uncomfortable with change." "With me?" "You mean he's uncomfortable with us?" His thumb traced circles on her palm. "Aside from that, there are those who believe Zint ether should remain separate from other species, that we lose something essential when we integrate." "And what do you believe?" she asked, genuinely wanting his perspective. He smiled. "I believe I found something I never knew was missing." His kiss was gentle, a contrast to their earlier passionate encounters. When he pulled back, his expression had grown serious. "There's something I need to tell you about the anomaly. Something I discovered in the latest scans." Alarm flashed through her eyes. "What is it?" "The anomaly isn't just a window between dimensions. It's a door." He pulled up a holographic display from his wrist device. "These energy signatures suggest matter can pass through in both directions." Kaida studied the data, her scientific mind racing. "That changes everything. If we can actually travel between dimensions, it also means something could come through to our side." "Something we're not prepared for," Ethan finished. "The implications are staggering. We should alert Galactic Command, request backup. By the time they arrive, the anomaly will have closed. We have to make the decision ourselves." His eyes held hers. "Do we proceed with the mission knowing the risks, or do we retreat to a safe distance and merely observe?" In that moment, Kaida realized why humans had been included in the Galactic Coalition despite their relative technological inferiority. They possessed a capacity for intuitive leaps that the logical Zuri often lacked. "What would you do?" she asked. He squeezed her hand. "I'd go forward, but carefully, with additional safety protocols. And I'd make sure I had someone I trusted completely by my side." She felt the weight of command and the exhilaration of discovery, and something else, the knowledge that whatever awaited them at the anomaly, she would face it with this remarkable human beside her. "Then that's what we'll do," she decided. That night, in the privacy of her quarters, their lovemaking had a new intensity, as if both were aware of the uncertainty that awaited them. Each touch, each kiss felt like a promise, a defiance against unknown dangers ahead. As they lay entwined afterward, Ethan's fingers traced the curve of her hip and he whispered, "I never thought I'd find something more beautiful than the stars." For the first time in her life, Lieutenant Kaida Nox, pride of the Zint ether fleet, blushed deeply at a compliment and didn't try to hide it. The celestial Voyager hung at the edge of the Nexus anomaly, its modified sensors collecting data at unprecedented rates. On the bridge, tension was palpable as the swirling vortex of energy grew larger in the view screen. "Gravimetric shielding holding at 87%, Trell reported, his tone clipped. "Quantum field stabilizers operating within parameters," Ethan added from the engineering station. His presence on the bridge had been Kaida's decision, one Trell had opposed, then reluctantly accepted. "Begin the probe launch sequence," Kaida ordered, her posture perfect despite the sleepless night. The weight of command had never felt heavier, yet paradoxically, she'd never been more certain of her path. The ship shuddered as the specialized probe shot toward the anomaly center. For 30 seconds, telemetry streamed back incredible readings of alternate dimensional states, quantum variances, possibilities beyond imagining, and then the probe vanished. "Signal lost," Trell announced. "Expected." Ethan replied, "The difference in quantum states would disrupt it." A blinding flash from the anomaly interrupted him. The ship rocked violently, throwing crew members against consoles. "Something's coming through," the sensor officer shouted. Kaida gripped her command chair. "Defensive positions, prepare." But instead of an attack, a bubble of energy emerged from the anomaly. Within it was another ship, nearly identical to the celestial Voyager. "It's us," Ethan whispered in awe. "From another dimension." Communications crackled to life, and a face appeared on the screen, identical to Kaida's, except this Kaida's skin was blue, not purple. "Celestial Voyager, this is Captain Kaida Nox. We've been searching for a dimensional breach point for months. Thank the stars we found you." The bridge crew stared in stunned silence. Kaida found her voice first. "This is Lieutenant Kaida Nox. Why have you been searching for us specifically?" The blue-skinned Kaida's expression grew grave. "Because in our dimension, the Arcturan Collective has launched a full-scale invasion of Coalition space. We need your help. Your dimension may be next." What followed was the most extraordinary first contact meeting in Coalition history, two versions of the same crew comparing notes on their divergent realities. The differences were fascinating. In the alternate dimension, Zint-Ether had evolved with blue skin instead of purple, humans had developed faster-than-light travel independently, and most strikingly, the Coalition had never implemented the cross-species engineering initiative. Al-Qaeda explained in the conference room. The blue Kaida continued, "Our dimensions diverged approximately 3 Earth years ago." Ethan and Kaida exchanged glances, the implication clear: in another reality, they had never found each other. "The Arcturans discovered dimensional travel 6 months ago," Al-Qaeda continued. "They've been using it to gather intelligence on Coalition defenses across multiple realities, which explains the unusual energy signatures we detected at the edge of our territory." Kaida realized, not Arcturan scouts, but Arcturan dimensional travelers. "We have defensive technologies that might help you," Ethan offered, "and with our combined knowledge of the anomaly, we could establish a more permanent connection between our dimensions." As the meeting continued, Kaida noticed her alternate self watching her interactions with Ethan with undisguised curiosity. Later, when the others had left to begin the technological exchange, Al-Qaeda approached them. "You two are together, a Zint-Ether and a human." Kaida straightened. "Yes. Is that a problem in your dimension as well?" Al-Qaeda smiled, a softer expression than Kaida had ever seen on her own face. "Not a problem. Just unexpected in my world. I never considered that duty and personal happiness aren't mutually exclusive," Kaida admitted, feeling Ethan's reassuring presence beside her. "Perhaps there are more things our dimensions could learn from each other than just defense strategies," Al-Qaeda mused. When the alternate ship departed 3 days later, loaded with technical specifications, cultural exchanges, and a permanent quantum communicator linking their dimensions, Kaida stood in the observation lounge with Ethan, watching the anomaly begin its 70-year closure cycle. "Do you think they'll be all right?" Ethan asked, his arm around her waist. "I think they have a fighting chance now," she said. "And perhaps more than that, I gave the other me some personal advice. Let me guess, to look up her dimensional Ethan Reed," he teased. Kaida smiled, her antenna quivering with amusement. "Actually, I suggested she rethink her definition of duty. The rest is up to her." As the last swirls of the anomaly faded, Ethan turned her to face him. "I've been offered a permanent position with the Coalition Science Division, working on dimension-crossing technology. That would mean leaving the Celestial Voyager." Kaida's heart grew heavy. "Yes," she whispered. His hands found hers. "Unless the ship's commanding officer were to request a permanent Galactic Coalition science liaison aboard." She blinked. "Commanding officer?" Ethan grinned. "Admiral Voss was impressed with your handling of the dimensional contact. Your promotion comes through next week. Congratulations, Captain Nox." Joy surged through her, followed quickly by understanding. "You already knew," she accused gently. "I may have pointed out the benefits of having a Zuri captain with experience in cross-dimensional diplomacy," he admitted, his expression growing serious. "But I would never presume to make this decision for you. If you want me to take the Science Division position." Kaida silenced him with a kiss. When they finally separated, she said, "Quest approved." His eyes held both question and hope. "Science liaison, Reed." She smiled, feeling the familiar warmth of a blush spreading across her cheeks. After all, the most important explorations are the ones that challenge our preconceptions about what's possible. As they stood together at the threshold of their shared future, Kaida reflected on how far she had come, From the rigid lieutenant who had greeted Ethan with suspicion to the woman who had found love across the stars. She had discovered that the universe's greatest wonders weren't always found in quantum anomalies or dimensional breaches but sometimes in the most unexpected connections between two beings from different worlds. And she never wanted to stop exploring. The end.